1 in 10 are probably fortunate enough to actually have some type of structured career development model in place. If you can pay yourself first in time with skill development, you won't just have a good career, you'll have an epic career. There are various reasons people don't achieve their goals, but one of the biggest reasons that I would say most people don't achieve them is they're not willing to sacrifice what they need to sacrifice to create the free space in their life to work on whatever it is they want to work on. Your ability to be confident has a lot more to do with your relationship with failure than it is success.
That's Andrew LaCivita. He's a globally renowned career and leadership coach and the founder of milewalk Academy. He's also the best-selling author of The Zebra Code, a step-by-step guide to mastering career skills that make you a standout professional. And he's going to share some of that wisdom today. So you'll learn 1, the biggest assumption that's hurting your career, 2, how to pinpoint what skills you need to develop now, and 3, easy ways to build your confidence. I'm Pete Mikaitis. This is How to Be Awesome at Your Job. Now, here's Andy. Andy, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Pete.
Andy, I would love to hear, you're a renowned career coach. You've seen a lot of clients, learned a lot of things in your day. Could you kick us off by sharing a particularly surprising or counterintuitive discovery you've made about us professionals and what we got to do to really stand out in advance?
One of the things that I've noticed as a consultant, as a recruiter, and now as a career coach, I would tell people, I don't know that we're wired to think this way, right? We're wired to go to our jobs, do a great job, learn how to do your trade, do it well. And you will have a good career if you can do your job well. But if you want to have a great career, like you really want to stand out, you want to be the best of the best or the happiest of the happiest, it's working more on yourself. And in order to work more on yourself, it's just like building your bank account. When you get paid, the first thing that, we hope you do if you want to save money or invest it is to actually take money out of your check and then put it into your savings account so that it builds over time. It's the same thing with your career, is that working on yourself needs to be planned first or at least a non-negotiable. What I do every week, which I think is an odd habit that people would think is counterintuitive, is when I plan my week, I actually plan my skill building time first. So I pay myself first, I work on myself first, and then everything else gets planned in, but it gets planned in after that. So I would say that's kind of a counterintuitive habit that I have. And I think it's really a key to being successful and enjoying your career. And I think that way you will always feel like you're growing as well.
That's very resonant. We've had a couple guests hit that point in terms of someone asking the question, well, how much time are you spending working on you? And for some, it's like, I guess none. Oops. Or folks will say, the time you spend in this strategic skill building stuff is the most rewarding ROI time there is. If you want to be the best of the best in terms of advancement and, financially, income, salary stuff, or I love the way you said it, or the happiest of the happy, that it takes some development just to feel great in the midst of challenges and stuff going on.
My company, milewalk, during the period between 2004 and 2019, so 15 years or so, we would run surveys every year. And we probably totaled up maybe about 20,000 people over the course of the 15 years had contributed data. And we would always ask them, why did you leave your current job? Why are you unhappy in your current position? Things of that nature. There were a variety of questions, but one of the top 3 reasons was, I'm not learning anything. And I think a big part of that is people expect their organizations to teach them. And while the best organizations will teach them, you can outsource a lot of things, but your own career is not one of them. So if you truly want to develop, you have to take accountability, which means creating space in your life to do that. And I coach a lot of people on a high performance basis. And those individuals who want to become the best at their craft, when they enlist my help for how to go about that, what skills do I need to build? How do I build them? We work together on this stuff. One of the first things I ask them is, can you show me your calendar? And inevitably, a lot of them say, well, why do you want to schedule some, our future sessions? I say, no, I want to see on your calendar where you've actually planned time in order to build those skills to achieve those goals that you just told me about. And inevitably, they don't have any, right? They just assume that they're going to get it on the 9-to-5 job. And I said, well, everybody's got the playbook. Everybody can learn how to build their widget or provide their service. It's all those other skills you need to become better. And like you said, leave them more rewarding career.
Well, Andy, we are speaking the same language. It's pretty essential to take ownership of your career and your skills. Otherwise, you're just rolling the dice. You're gambling. You may or may not have fantastic coaches and mentors present in your workplace who say, hey, Andy, tell me, what are you working on? Where do you want to go? What are your strengths? How can we make sure we can build your development plan into what you're up to and the assignments that you're getting and reflecting and mentoring and turning everything into wisdom generating stuff? Some people have that and it's a dream come true and it's precious if you do. Heads up, that's very special and you may want to stick around. But a lot of people sure don't. Could you maybe guesstimate for us in terms of the state of the world of work in the United States in the 2020s? What proportion of us have a phenomenal work learning culture system versus what proportion of us really better get proactive in a hurry if we want to get where we're going?
I'll give you what I think the stats are. Interestingly, we all go to work thinking our companies are going to have these career development plans for us. We're going to work for a boss who's going to teach us. We're going to work for a boss who's going to care for us, let us know what we need to do so we can get promoted and get paid more and be happier and so on. I would bet, and by the way, I don't like at my fingertips have this stat, but I'm going to give you my feel based on, now I want to tell you where I'm drawing the data from. I was an information technology and management consultant from 1988 to 2004, so a long time. At that time, I'd coached and consulted to 150 companies. Between 2004 and 2019 with milewalk, that's another 200 companies, so 350 companies. I've seen tens of thousands of people working individually with them. Looking at the organizations that I consulted to or recruited for, looking at the individuals I coach and all the companies they work for, knowing statistically that most people in the United States work for a small to medium-sized company. So not a lot of people work for Cola, IBM, and these largest of companies. Most people work for small to mid-sized companies, just statistically, more than half. So when you think about how many organizations actually have a structured, well thought out career development model, I would probably say 90% do not, meaning 1 in 10 are probably fortunate enough to actually have some type of structured career development model in place that says, you're this level, these are the skill sets we expect you to have, the level of proficiency we expect you to have them. If you want to go to the next level, here's what you need to work on. We have succession planning processes, career development processes, coaching and mentoring processes. I would say 1 in 10 would be my swag. Okay, so that is not a statistic I can claim to know, but I would say that's the state. I would guess it's worldwide.
Andy, that's powerful. And you're bringing me back some memories on a couple of dimensions. One, you said management consulting, and I worked at Bain for a while. And then when you talk about the structured situation, boy, you're right. I haven't seen it anywhere else in my own career and talking to many other people in terms of like, okay, are you an associate consultant 6 months into your career? Well, at this point, we now expect for you to conduct zero defect analysis. It's like, okay, so 6 months in, we expect for you to stop making visible mistakes in the data, which is pretty intimidating, frankly, like the nightmare of many an associate consultant having dreams of waking up in a spreadsheet has happened to me before. But then that's very clear. So we have a table there. I thought it was very impressive. It's like, these are all the skills as rows, and then the degree to which we expect them developed as columns over the course of time. And then we can very clearly say, hey, how's your zero defect analysis? Is that up to snuff or is it not? And most of us, because our jobs are so fluid and we don't have thousands of associate consultants who are kind of doing the same thing, but for different clients and business challenges, it's really hard to know. It's like, hey, are you great at digital marketing? I mean, I can't tell you, yeah, in 9 months, I expect for you to be able to run a Facebook ads campaign with zero supervision and create a return on investment of a cash on cash basis for 70% of new clients. Like we don't have that level of clarity and specificity. And so you kind of got to go invent that for yourself.
True. I started my career, it's interesting to talk about Bain. I started my career at Anderson Consulting. So I was looking at career development models and grids and things like that it was very clearly spelled out. Now, it probably was over-engineered, but at least we had the guideposts. But most people don't have that these days. And the other thing, you asked kind of about the state of things. But we live in a much more mobile time right now, meaning it's rare that somebody would spend that much time in an organization and have the time to evolve. So they're more mobile, which is creating even more confusion because, right, you're going to different companies have different internal vocabulary and what they call things. It's different now.
It is.
Which means you need to be more organized.
Yes. Well, fortunately, our pal Andy here, that's you, organized some handy pieces in your book, The Zebra Code. So first, tell us, why is it called The Zebra Code? That reminds me of the TV show Ghost Rider from the 1990s, but I don't imagine that's what you had in mind.
So I have a weekly live show on YouTube. So I teach every Thursday. People come to the show, I teach them, and then they ask me questions. In the question and asking period of the show, one of the gentlemen asked me about standing out in a job interview. And I told this story about how when I go out for a run out of my house, I run down the street, and on one side, I got the goats. On the other side, I got the horses. On another side, I got the horses. And I said, so I got all these farms around me. And I said, whenever I hear hoofbeats, while I do not technically rule out the possibility that it can be a zebra, I'm thinking horses. Employers are the same way. When you're in a job interview, you're talking and talking and talking. They're thinking, oh man, this sounds like everyone else that has ever interviewed for this job or anybody else that's come from Bain or Accenture or whatever. And the interviewers, they need to draw conclusions very quickly. They need to stereotype, and I don't mean that in a bad way, meaning they have to draw on their own experiences with the limited amount of time that they have in order to figure out and extrapolate whether you're going to do a good job in their company. It's a function of the interviewing system, not the individual, him or herself. So when I said you need to be able to stand out, now that was 5 years ago. I told this little story and I never really thought about it. But when I was thinking about this career development book that I wanted to write, I said, there's a big problem in the world that in this post-academic era, we don't have that career syllabus, right? You and I went to college, right? The professor hands you the career syllabus. You knew a few things. You knew what you were going to be studying on what given day, what the homework assignments were, when you were going to take the tests, what the tests were going to entail. You had some faith that the individual who was teaching you at least was well-credentialed, should have known his or her stuff. You had some faith in this. But in our professional world now, the minute you throw your hat and tassel in the air, you don't have that. That's gone. And then the journey you take it's very difficult as we go back to that, kind of those jokes we were talking about, the career development models. People don't have that. And so I wanted to solve that problem by saying, okay, if I had to rewind my clock 36 years and I was walking out of school, how does somebody go through their evolution and what skills would I learn and what would I learn first so that the higher level skills that I wanted to learn, I would learn them faster and more easily. And so I put this structure together, this methodology that's based on expertise in tiers as we go through our professional lives. So there's 5 tiers in the way that I see somebody evolving. They're a producer. So basically, you're managing your own self. Then you become a communicator, which is from an interactional standpoint, I need to develop communication skills that allow me to support others, be a team player, and so on. But then as you evolve, you become more of an influencer where you're using those communication skills to actually draw positive outcomes from people, motivate them, influence them, get results through them or on their behalf. And then the developers, the 4th tier, which is really the individuals who can actually coach, manage people in units, but also build the systems upon which everybody operates. And then ultimately the 5th tier, you're a visionary where you are creating the new ideas, generating of the new products, the new solutions. And so as I teach my leadership group, so I teach them these career skills. I don't call them soft skills. I call them career skills because I actually think these are essential and harder to build than our trade skills, whatever your profession is, that is. And so as I looked at what I was teaching and how I was working with them and the issues they were facing, it became clear to me that there were 46 or so vital skills that if you were able to build them, you would evolve through these tiers as I've laid out. So the Zebra Code book is really this leadership coaching program in a book where I teach you how to put your skill building plan together and operate it so that you're not overwhelmed. You know what you should be working on, based on your profession, your goals and aspirations, as well as incorporating in your regular old work assignments. Are there things that you do on a day in and day out or week in and week out basis where you want to get better? And so that's the problem the book addresses, is that it's like a maze. Professional development is a maze, and people waste a lot of time because they don't know what skills to work on, or they're working on the wrong skills, or they're working on skills, but they're not working on them the right way, or they're not working on them in the most efficient manner. So I tried to address all those skills in the book.
Well, and Andy, I think that 5 tiers is very excellently done. As you think about, if you really zoom out, like, okay, no, really, where am I in the course of this career? It's like, okay, fresh out of school, first job. All right, we're squarely in the producer zone. And then I can see, okay, yeah. And then I'm doing the communicator, then the influencer, then the developer, then the visionary. And if I may, sometimes these lines can get a little blurry in terms of we have someone without direct reports, but is been around for a while and is quite highly paid. And senior executives are truly counting on some visionary levels of insight and expertise that they're bringing to the table. So not to jack up your model, Andy, but how do you think about those kinds of situations?
Well, one of the things I didn't mention, and it's something good for anybody who is interested to know, inside the book, there's also a leadership and skill building assessment. So the example you gave was great because you say, hey, I could be a junior person generating great ideas, or I could be a very senior person who has lots of ideas, but I'm not really great at developing people. So when you look at all the skill sets that really I feel go into each of these layers, I have an assessment for you to take, literally a quantitative assessment that's based on subjective questions that I've highlighted for you to see where you have opportunities to improve. And so what the model does is it's agnostic regarding who you are, your age, your profession. This is what I would say in general is the methodology shows you how to pick and choose skills at different levels that you need more help with and figuring out when the right time is to work on those. So as an example, some of the skill sets, to give you an idea, in the producer level are about self-awareness. We're talking about your ability to focus. We're talking about habit building. We're talking about planning and running your day, or confidence. I know a lot of 40 and 50-year-olds that aren't confident. I know a lot of 60-year-olds that don't know how to run their day. I know a lot of executives who are creative thinkers who are ineffective at running their day. So even the most senior people could benefit from building the producer level skill sets. So it isn't a cookie cutter, hey, okay, everybody at this level or at this stage start here and only work these. It's that taking you from that blank sheet of paper to giving you some organization to letting you pick and choose based on your current state. So what you might find is if let's say you're in your early 40s, give or take, you got a team of 6 people you're trying to manage. Well, I can teach you things about how to better run your day. That's producer level stuff. And I could teach you also all of the components that go into motivating, coaching, developing, understanding somebody's feedback language. How do you determine how to get the best results out of somebody? So the skills, there's a compounding effect. And if the earlier you start, the more effective you'll be at building habits, running your day, and so on. Because learning how to motivate somebody is a more complicated skill to build. Does that make sense?
Okay, beautiful. It sure does. And so this assessment, can take it online for free somewhere?
I have a 47-page booklet that introduces all the Zebra Code methodology, these tiers we've been talking about, this assessment you can take, and also all the instruction to build your career plan. That's free. So if you just head to the Milewalk Academy website and check out the leadership card, it'll take you to a page where there's a button there and you can download it for free. So thank you for asking me that.
Cool. Well, yeah, so we'll definitely link that. But let's just go ahead and say, you mentioned focus and confidence, and those are things that a lot of my listeners a lot of times have said, yeah, we'd love that. So let's just say we did that. We looked through all the skills. We said, boy, you know what? Focus and confidence are the things. Now what?
I don't have any children, but I don't know if you have kids. But I know a lot of people have kids. But have you ever told your kid, hey, listen to me, concentrate. Focus on this. Give me your attention. Right.
Get your shoes.
Get your shoe. Whatever. That's not focus. Okay. No, the kid's never been taught how to focus. They've been told how to focus. And we as adults have never been taught, how do we get complete command of our mind at any moment in time so that I can, at this moment in time, have the capacity and the ability to concentrate on only one thing. So you ask me a question right now, I need to use muscles to be able to focus on that one thing. So that's what I mean when I say focus. And what I tell people is you cannot possibly have the muscles to do that if you are not continually building those muscles. And in order to build those muscles, you need to be practicing building those muscles throughout the day, all day, every day. And what a lot of people do is I don't want to say they practice distraction, but they are so distracted. The phone beeps. What do? You look at it. You were now distracted, which means you're not concentrating on whatever it was that you were doing. Maybe you were having dinner with a friend. Maybe you were working on writing an email to your boss. The phone beeps. Boom. You don't have the muscle to not look at it. Okay. So what I do is I concentrate on creating a kind of a lifestyle system that enables me at any moment in time to focus. So what I do is there's basically 6 or 7 things that I go through. Every night, the night before, the next day, I plan my next day. And you might say, well, how's planning your next day helping you with focus? Well, number one, I'm getting ready for the day. I know what the day entails. I know that on this day, you and I are recording this on a Tuesday at 10:45 in the morning Central, we started. I knew yesterday that we were going to be meeting. I had everything set up. I knew where I needed to go, what information I needed for you, and so on. So I unloaded all of that, which freed up my mind for the evening, for my sleep. I woke up the next day. Next thing I did when I got out of bed and I went through my morning routine is I literally practiced focusing for 10 minutes on one thing, which is moving energy through my body. It's just a way for me to practice concentration in an ideal environment where I know I will not have any interruptions. So think of this focusing exercise as I'm going to do a warm up for the day in the most ideal conditions, because now we're going to go into a day that has a lot of things associated with it. I did 7 or 8 things before our 10:45 appointment this morning. Well, I thought about everything that I was going to do for the day. I call it considering my day. So after I do my focus practice, before I get into my work day, I actually look at my whole day and I think about what would an ideal day look like? What are all the outputs I'm going to have? What might I do if something goes wrong? What happens if I get interrupted? And I'm thinking through all this. And what this is doing is it's enabling me to let go of things that I need to, making sure that I can foresee what I want to happen. And then in the event any surprises happen or anything like that, I'm more equipped at any moment in time to be able to concentrate on it. I actually practice building my willpower muscles throughout the day. And this is a great tip I got from Don DePani. So I don't want to take credit for this when it comes to willpower. But part of building your focus muscle is building your willpower. Your willpower is your ability to exert control to complete something. So one of the things that I do as I go through, whether it's a work deliverable or any household chores or anything that I do, he's got this 3-step process. He says, finish what you start, do it a little better than you thought you would, and then do a little more. And what that does is if you go start to finish without taking your mind off it, you're practicing staying in order. And what this is doing is it's building willpower, and willpower is really your mind being able to concentrate at any moment of time. So that helps. And then as I work throughout my day, when I go from one thing to the next, again, everything I'm doing is aimed at creating free space in my mind so it's not cluttered, so I can concentrate. So whenever I transition, so right before I started with you, I packed up what I was doing at 10:30. I made some notes. I let the dogs out. I thought about you. I thought about what a fun podcast would look like. And I was going through wrapping up what I was doing, thinking forward to what I'm about to do so that I don't have anything hanging over my head from the prior hour. Even if I spent an hour writing a great chapter in a book, and even though it was fun for me, I still accumulated stress, right? In my forearms, in my fingers, even just thinking, maybe in my neck. So I want to let go of that. And so imagine not letting go of any of that throughout the day, right? People go from Zoom meeting to a phone call to doing something, and they just keep accumulating that stress, which again makes it harder for them to concentrate on anything at any moment in time. And so these things, along with kind of the last point, is really the reflection and being able to think back about what happened, wrapping up your day. I do this as part of my nightly practice, but all of these things that I do are aimed at keeping a free mind so that at any moment in time, I can focus and I can concentrate. And it takes all of these things and other things, but it's just like a diet, right? I always say, look, if you eat a healthy breakfast and you think eating pizza and burgers for the rest of the day for lunch and dinner where you're going to lose weight. It isn't going to happen. Well, it's the same kind of thing. If you meditate for 10 minutes in the morning and then run harried all day, you're still not going to be able to focus. There's a lot of things I think it takes to be able to concentrate.
Yeah.
So that's focusing.
And that's helpful in terms of, so those are some things associated with focus. And maybe I'm just going to zoom out a smidge in terms of the first step is we've identified this is a necessary skill that I need to build. And then we've also determined it ain't just going to happen. I have to actually schedule some time in my calendar to work on me in order to make it happen. And then there are a number of practices, protocols, interventions, the stuff you do to build those skills. And you've selected a few, I guess, based upon your research and your experience and what has worked for your clients. And then you go do them. And so it seems like there's just naturally a bit of commitment, discipline, consistency, habit building that's associated with making it happen.
That's right. Wait, you nailed it. Wait, so number one, that was a fantastic recap because the things that you're saying about what I just said, while it might sound long-winded, think about everything that you need to do to condition yourself and how what you said, consistent you need to be and that you need to make the time to do it. Now, people think, well, I don't have 10 minutes in the morning. If you don't have 10 minutes in the morning to work on you, I think you need to rethink your life, right? You got to figure out if this is important to you. And look, and it isn't just about work. I mean, don't you want to have better conversations with your spouses, your partners, your friends, your children? There are various reasons people don't achieve their goals. But one of the biggest reasons that I would say most people don't achieve them is they're not willing to sacrifice what they need to sacrifice to create the free space in their life to work on whatever it is they want to work on.
Okay. So applying these same kinds of fundamental principles, let's say now we're zeroing in on confidence, and that's the skill we want to develop. How might we go about doing that?
I love that one because I think this is one of the most misunderstood skills ever. Because people think, okay, I need to see myself do it. And then once I'm successful, I'll have confidence. But confidence, your ability to be confident has a lot more to do with your relationship with failure than it is success. What I say to people is generally recognize there are multiple reasons why you're not confident. It's you have an activity that you're reluctant to do. So there's a task or something that I don't know how to do, so I'm not confident that I can do it. There's a big project and you don't know all the steps that you need to take. Therefore, you're not confident because you don't know how. Or the third thing, which is really a misnomer, where people are not confident because it's something like, hey, I don't want to speak. I feel like I have stage fright and I'm not confident getting in front of a bunch of people, when it really has more to do with the fact that you are worried about how you look rather than the performance that you're actually going to help them with or how to serve them. And so there are a variety of things that you need to think about. When I help people with building confidence, the first thing that I say to them is recognize that as you do these things, you're always trying to increase your level of performance. And in order to do that, you're going to fail initially. Build failure into the process so that you become more comfortable with taking attempts at things. If it's an activity that you're reluctant to do, let's say I'm reluctant to send a cold email to ask somebody for a job, or I'm reluctant to do that cold sales call or whatever it might be. In these cases, I want you to add repetitions. If you got to make 10 calls, make 20. The more you do, the more comfortable you'll become. And even if you're not getting the results you want, what are you getting? Have better metrics for evaluating your performance. Did you make the call? Boom, that's good. That's in your control. Did you practice your sales script? Great, that was in your control. Did you learn how the customer might object? Okay, now you're going to be better armed the next time. Right. And so what you're doing is you're constantly repping something because the conditioning itself will make it less scary. And I say when you've got these big projects that you want to take on where you're a little reluctant, it's like my wife's in marathon training right now. She's going to run her first marathon. You don't think about running 26.2 miles. You think about what does your plan say today? It says go run 6 miles. You could do that. Go do that. So you're always thinking a few moves ahead, but not trying to eat the entire elephant in one bite. And then when it comes to kind of that third aspect where people find themselves usually losing confidence, like the stage fright example I gave, is oftentimes your success in life is going to have a lot more to do with where you place your attention than your ability. And never is that more true than if you get stage fright or something of that nature. The reason that you don't have confidence to go give a speech in public or talk at the round table or give the status update or whatever it is because you're thinking about how you're looking instead of the service you're providing to whomever it is you're providing. If you're giving a status report to your management team, you're helping them understand what it is they need to know in order to decide something that they need to decide for the direction of the company. If you're giving a speech and that you obviously have something to offer, otherwise you wouldn't be standing up there on the stage giving it, think about how you're helping the people. And what this does is it has a way of diffusing that I don't know, want to call it imposter syndrome. Maybe it's imposter syndrome. Maybe it's your reluctance or hesitation or whatever it might be. So there are a number of things and tactics that you can do, but confidence, like I said, has a lot more to do with getting comfortable with failure than it does with successes, because that's easier to be confident when things are going well.
Understood. Well, Andy, tell me anything else you really want to make sure to put out there before we hear about some of your favorite things.
One of the things I would tell people that is near and dear to my heart, because this is something I had to live through, and it's something really hard for people to wrestle with. But I always say, don't let what you can do prevent you from doing what you were meant to do. And the reason that I want to share that, I guess if you gave me an open invitation to share something, would be because a lot of us, and I'm sure you went through this too, right? You talked about working for Bain, right? At some point, you're making a nice paycheck. You got to save for the kids' college tuition, right? You got to pay for the cars, the houses, the whatever. And people, they know they can do it. They know they can be the engineer. They know they can be the accountant, but they really have an aspiration of doing something else. I knew I could be an IT consultant, but I had aspirations of helping people. How do I do that? I felt like that was what I was meant to do, is really helping people in their careers. And one of the things that takes is, number one, you need to want it more than you're afraid of it. And you need to have faith that there is a way to make a living doing what you want to do. And there are a lot of people out there, and I'm speaking to anybody who's listening who wants to make that change. There are people that are out there that need you to do what you're aching to do. Don't disappoint them by feeling like there's no way to make a living, or it's too late for me. I changed careers at 50, at 38 and 50. You can do it. And the Zebra Code is all about that, because it's about building the skills that are enabling you to go after what you want.
All right.
So I would say, I would end with that, at least before you go on to your next set.
Well, I was going to ask about a favorite quote, but we already got it.
Okay.
Big thanks to Andy for sharing his wisdom with us. And big thanks to our sponsors. Check them out. One sponsor to check out is Hello Bello. Hello Bello offers ultra-convenient diaper bundle subscription services to deliver diapers and wipes directly to your home, so you're never out of supplies. These diapers are made in the USA and free of fragrances and other chemicals and toxins you don't want near your child. Get this, my wife has a master's in public health and is the toughest customer I have ever seen when it comes to safety standards for kids. And Hello Bello meets even her demanding standards. Hello Bello also provides cloud-like softness, excellent absorbency, and fun rotating designs. Hello Bello was named the best diaper subscription by New York Magazine and won the 2022 Good Housekeeping Parent Award. Go to hellobello.com/awesome to get 30% off of your first customized bundle and a full-sized freebie product of your choice. That's hellobello.com/awesome to start bundling with 30% off your first order. One more time, that's hellobello.com/awesome. So now, give us a favorite study or experiment or bit of research.
One of the things that I do, and I don't want to say it's like a piece of research as much as it is ongoing research. We get fed through the media things like unemployment numbers, right? Let's talk jobs here, or industries that are doing well, or industries that are hiring, or those that are tanking or thriving or whatever, or what consumers are buying. I am always interested in looking at the details behind what's being shared. And what I do every month is look for signals as to what's happening. And then I spend time trying to draw conclusions from the data. So as an example, all last year and even this year, there are markets that are thriving. Well, the three top that were hiring are healthcare, construction, and the government. So if the government is hiring a lot of people, from a jobs perspective, that's good. But from a gross domestic product perspective, that doesn't contribute anything to retail sales or any contribution for economic growth. So that has to be evaluated when you start looking at, well, is hiring good? Is hiring bad? Which way is the employment market going? So I would say in general, anytime you're looking at data, just make sure you're interpreting it and then draw conclusions based on what you think will happen, based on what's under the covers rather than the headline that we tend to glance at.
Okay. And a favorite book?
I'm a huge fan of Wayne Dyer. So rather than just say all his books, one of my absolute favorite books is You'll See It When You Believe It.
Okay. And a favorite tool, something you use to be awesome at your job.
I'll plug the names here for these companies because I love their platform so much. We use Kajabi for our online training program. So I'm able to distribute all of our programs, our video-based online programs. I use Kajabi to do that. We have a community that we run. So we don't run the Milewalk Academy community on public sites like Facebook. We run it on a private platform called Circle. That's fantastic. So think your own private Facebook. So not Facebook, but Circle does that. But my newest shiny toy is Andy AI, which is literally an Andy clone of all of my teaching, all of my videos. This podcast will probably get loaded in there. And everything that I've taught, all the books that I've written, all my YouTube videos, all the podcasts, everything that I've created, there's something like at the time we're talking 12 million words of my teaching in the tool that trained it to answer you like, so it's Andy GPT, so to speak. So like Chat GPT, but it's all my teaching. And that is a product that's on the Delphi platform. It's rather new. It's very new. And so my job seeking clients and my leadership development clients can access, well, most of them anyway, can access Andy AI and ask it questions and get my instruction. It's the coolest thing. And obviously you can see how that scales my time, right? And so there's thousands of people around the world that can ask me questions whenever they want and get answers immediately. Pete, that's got to be that's the new shiny new tool. Yeah, right. Those are great.
And if folks want to learn more or get in touch, where would you point them?
So I'd say go to the Milewalk Academy, just like it sounds, milewalkacademy.com. And from there, you can find my blog, you can find my YouTube channel, my Tips for Work and Life podcast. There's a lot of free downloads. You can get that leadership assessment. There's premium programs if you're interested. I'm everywhere on the social channels as well. If you just Google Andrew LaCivita, it'll pop up. But the Milewalk Academy's the home base.
All right. And do you have a final challenge or call to action for folks looking to be awesome at their jobs?
Figure out what skills are going to pay the most dividends in the short and long term, and then put a plan together that's going to help you develop those skills. And the other thing that you're absolutely going to need to do is create space in your calendar to do that. And as a bonus, if you can pay yourself first in time with skill development, you won't just have a good career, you'll have an epic career.
Andy, this has been beautiful. Thank you. I wish you many zebra moments.
Pete, I appreciate it, man. Thanks to you. Thank Marco, too, for doing all this for us and bringing us together. It's been a thrill. I've enjoyed your podcast as a listener. It just tickles me pink that you invited me to be a guest.
I really love Andy's 5 tiers there. Producer, communicator, influencer, developer, visionary. And sometimes I think the career development stalls happen when we're a little bit slow to identify, oh, wait a second, I've been rocking and rolling the producer zone and now it's about the communicator skills that I got to go after. Or some other hiccup along the way. Just getting really clear on where am I and what are the skills most necessary at this point and going after developing them with gusto, making time to pay yourself first. Great stuff from Andy. If you want to check out the show notes, the transcript, or the links to items that we've referenced, please drop on by awesomeatyourjob.com/EP991. Hope to catch you next time, and peace.